Okay, I'm here about to make the sourdough. We'll start with 375 grams of water. So I set my scales. $310, 330, 40, 50, 60, 374, that'll do. Okay, tare my scales. It's 10 to 12 grams of salt. Okay. And then it's 80 grams of sourdough starter. Now, I've just got to find my... There it is. So I just use my whatever these things are called, a chopstick, to put my sourdough starter in. And my sourdough starter needs renewing, so this is a good opportunity to show you. So I do that right here after I've put my sourdough starter into here. I've just got a small amount left, maybe a couple of teaspoons left in the jar. So what I do before I stir that up, I'll just make my sourdough starter. So I've got rye flour. I've got a 1/3 cup measurer for my rye flour. I'll just put that into my jar and add the same in water. Stir that around so that it's nicely mixed to get the sourdough down off the edges, so there's plenty of starter still to activate this. And there's enough there to make my next loaf of bread. I used to sometimes put in enough to make 2 loaves, but it's probably, if you don't make it very often, it's probably better to just do enough to make 1 loaf, because that way it gets fed at least once a week, which is what you need. And then I'll use this stick to stir up my starter and salt and water there. I'll put this straight back into the fridge so it's ready to use for next time. Just stir that up a little bit in here, and then I'll get my flour to add, which is 500 grams total. I usually use about, I'll tare my scales, 250 to 300 grams of white, okay, and then the remainder is in spelt. Organic spelt. Okay, and then all I do is stir this up. I like to use a chopstick, I don't know why. And I just used the dirty bowl. I used to wash it, but I don't bother to wash it now because all it's got around it is dried sourdough starter or sourdough bread. So if some of that gets incorporated back into this loaf, that's fine. Because often if they send sourdough starter to you through the mail, they'll just send a few dry flakes. So it's up to you how you do that. So I just stir this so that it's pretty much incorporated, all the flour, and then leave it to rest for 30 minutes. And then it starts to autolyse during that 30 minutes. And then with a wet hand, I'll just do a folding, and I'll do a video of the folding. I'll just video the first one, and then you do that every 30 minutes for the first 2 hours, if you can. If you can't, and you only get a chance to do it once or twice, that's okay. I'll turn this off now, and okay, I didn't show you what my dough looked like before, so I'll show you now. That's basically what it looks like after you've stirred it up with the chopstick. I'll put this over here. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to, oops, sorry, stuck my thumb over the, so I'll just clean my chopstick off, wet my hand with cold water. A wet hand is imperative, And then I'm just going to take it in the bowl, pull it up, turn the bowl, and do that about 4 to 6 times. And you'll notice as you do this each time, the dough will get more and more elastic and stretchy. To clean my hand off, because I've got a little bit of dough on there, I just often wet it and just wipe it over the dough. All the enzymes and microbiome off your hand is really good for the sourdough, because that all helps to actually make, they say a lot of it actually comes from your hand, so it's really good to work the dough with your hands. So instead of stirring it up with chopstick, you can stir it up with your hands. I used to do that, but I've found now that it's just easier with the chopstick because it is quite sticky at the beginning. So if you want to have a look, that's the dough now. You can already see that it looks a little bit more smooth and elastic. Now the time's now 8 o'clock. I forgot to say that I started making this at 7 o'clock. I did the first stretch and turn at 7:30. I've just wet my hand. I'm about to do the second stretch and turn now that it's 8 o'clock. You can see that it's coming up much higher now, so it's much more elastic. It's 4 turns. So you don't have to work the bread super hard. You just, I mean, a lot of people probably don't shake it like that even. You just pull it up and fold it over, basically. So I'll just clean my hand off, just on the dough. And I'll see you back in 30 minutes. Okay, back again. It's now 8:30. So I'm going to do the third stretch and fold. Oh, yeah, the third stretch and fold. Well, actually, is it the third or the second? I can't remember. You can see it's a lot more flexible now, stretchy. Hand again. And in between this, I've been doing lots of things, watering the garden, made a big salad for dinner, made some kombucha up. So as long as you're around for those 2 hours, you don't have to be, you spend hardly any time making the sourdough, but you just need to be around doing other things. So there it is now. You can see it's nice and elastic. And we'll leave it again. I'll do it one more time. If you don't have time to do it the 4 times, it's fine if you only do it 2 probably. It might affect the bread a little bit, but not that much. So it's not that critical. I just I'm leaving it with nothing over the top while I'm waiting. When I do it the final time and put it to rest, I'll put a cap over the top of it. Right, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to do my final stretch and fold. So I put the loaf together at 7, stretch and fold at 7:30, stretch and fold at 8, stretch and fold at 8:30, and now it's 9 o'clock. So my final stretch and fold. So you can see the dough's a lot more elastic now. 2. I like to stretch it a little. 3. 4. 5. 6. It looks really nice and smooth and silky now. So what I'm going to do is put a cover on it. So you can just put a cloth over it. I use a shower cap, one that you might get it when you go to a hotel room. Works really well. And you're just going to leave that on the bench for anywhere from 8 to generally 8 to 12 hours, but in the winter in Tassie it can be up to 15 hours until basically it's risen to double, but you don't want to overprove it if you can help it. So if that came right up to the top, it would probably be overproved. So in the morning, I'll come back and I'll show you what we do once it's finished proving. Okay, it's now 11 a.m. It's taken a little bit longer to rise, I think, because it was rising during the night and it was colder. I'm going to take the lid off the cap and have a little look at the dough. It's not quite to the top of the bowl, but it's rising nicely, lots of bubbles. It would have doubled in size. So now what I like to do, before I tip it out, I like to flour my board really well because it's quite a runny dough. I usually put a little bit on top of the, just so it doesn't stick as well. I need a spatula and I just gently scrape it out of here. I don't want to lose all my rise. I want to try and keep the air in. I just scoop it down onto my board. So this stage is called the shaping stage. So it's quite relaxed. I'm just going to do 4 turns like that. And then just sort of shape it. You can either put it straight into the banneton now, or you can leave it to relax for 15 to 30 minutes and then do that again and put it into the banneton. I think I'm just going to put it into the banneton now because I want it to set up in the fridge reasonably well because I won't have enough time. Now here's my banneton. Now I like to put rice flour into the bottom of this to stop it from sticking. So I've got rice flour in this little shaker. So I just grind that up in the Thermomix, just some brown rice. Get it on there liberally because that stops it from sticking. It works better than flour because flour can get a bit tacky. This is a little bit coarser. Okay. And I'm just going to lift that up. I might just do it one more time just to get it in since I'm not waiting. Just holding it up. And then the bad side up, or the rough side up, you just want to pop it in like that. So there we have it in the banneton like that with the folded side up because that will eventually be down. And I'm just going to put the lid back on and then put it into the fridge. And you can leave it in the fridge for anywhere from 1 hour to 12 hours before you cook it. So you do whatever's convenient for you. So I'm going to put that in the fridge now. And we will be cooking it this afternoon about 5 or 6 o'clock for dinner, in time for dinner. Okay, we've got the bread out of the oven. I'm going to take the lid off. The cap. I'm going to put some baking paper over the top. Put a chopping board on top of that and invert it so your bread is on there. I'm going to lift that off gently. There's our loaf. And now we need a sharp knife. Do you have a sharp knife, Taz? Just need to do our scoring. And it needs to be wet.
I like to have some of that for the...
And I don't know if that's sharp enough. If you've got a bread knife, that would probably be better. Because that's
red.
Not quite. But that's okay. This'll do for now. No, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Then we're going to get our pan out of the oven. Do you have another oven mitt? That's probably good enough. If you have another oven mitt, that would be good.
That black.
We're going to take the lid off. So we've got we put that in the oven half an hour ago. So you want to heat that up for half an hour. Then you lift your paper and put your bread into your Dutch oven. and then pop it back into the oven for half an hour. So our oven we turned on half an hour ago to 260 Celsius or 500 Fahrenheit. So that'll be in the oven for about half an hour, and then we'll take it out, take the lid off, and let it cook for another 10 minutes with the lid off. Okay,
this is all the
I'm just going to, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm taking the bread out of the oven. Take the lid off. Now we're going to put it back in for 10 minutes just to brown without the lid on. Okay, our 10 minutes is up, so I'm just going to get the bread out of the oven. And put it onto a cooling rack. I don't know if you can see the loaf, but there's our loaf. And just wait 10 minutes and it'll be just right to eat.